They say dogs are man's best friend, but for Max, his bond with his owner, Sarah, was something much deeper. Max had been by Sarah's side for 10 years, through joy, heartbreak, and everything in between. But today, something felt different. The house was unusually quiet. Max, a golden retriever with soulful eyes, lay by the door, his ears perked up as if he were waiting for something, or someone. Sarah, his owner, had been in the hospital for weeks, and Max hadn't seen her in days. But today, a kind neighbor had promised to take Max to see her. As the car pulled up to the hospital, Max's tail wagged with anticipation. He always knew when Sarah was near. His heart seemed to race as he was led through the hospital corridors, his nails clicking softly against the tiled floors. When Max finally reached Sarah's room, he paused. The air felt heavy, and a strange scent lingered, something he couldn't quite place. Sarah lay on the bed, her face pale but peaceful. She smiled faintly as Max approached, his tail wagging furiously. "Max," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "My sweet boy." Max rested his head gently on the edge of the bed, his big brown eyes locked on hers. It was a moment of pure love and connection, as if time had stopped. But then, something strange happened. Max's ears twitched. He lifted his head and turned toward the corner of the room, staring intently. His tail stopped wagging, and a low whine escaped his throat. The neighbor, who stood nearby, looked around but saw nothing. "What is it, Max?" the neighbor asked softly, but Max didn't respond. His gaze remained fixed on the empty corner. To everyone else, it seemed like just an ordinary hospital room, but Max saw something, or someone. Suddenly, Max stood up and approached the corner, his movements cautious but deliberate. He sniffed the air, then sat down, wagging his tail gently, as if greeting an old friend. The room grew eerily still. Sarah, watching Max, smiled weakly. "It's okay," she murmured. "He's here for me." The neighbor frowned in confusion. "Who's here?" she asked, but Sarah didn't answer. Instead, her eyes closed, and a sense of calm seemed to wash over her. Max, still sitting in the corner, let out a soft bark, a sound of recognition and acceptance. It was as if he understood something that no one else could. And then, just as suddenly as it began, Max returned to Sarah's bedside, resting his head on her hand. The goodbye. Minutes later, Sarah took her last breath. The monitor beeped softly, then fell silent. The neighbor, overwhelmed with emotion, began to cry. But Max remained calm, his eyes filled with an almost otherworldly understanding. As the nurses entered the room, Max stood up and walked back to the corner, wagging his tail one last time. To him, Sarah wasn't gone. She was simply elsewhere. The aftermath. In the days that followed, the neighbor couldn't stop thinking about what she had witnessed. Max seemed at peace, as if he knew Sarah was safe and happy. He no longer waited by the door or looked out the window. Instead, he would often sit in the corner of the living room, wagging his tail softly, as if keeping Sarah company. They say dogs can sense things we can't: emotions, illnesses, even the presence of spirits. For Max, his final goodbye to Sarah wasn't a farewell. It was a reminder that love transcends life and death. This story is a testament to the unbreakable bond between humans and their pets, a bond so strong that not even death can sever it. Max may have lost Sarah, but their connection remains, a silent comfort in the quiet moments of his life.